Hello everyone, I'm Extra Cheesy 87 and this is the second installment of LP Reflections, which is going to be on Pokemon Emerald Double Edition, which is a LP that we recently finished. I don't know when this video is going up. I'm recording this on Saturday the 27th of June. I might try and upload this like tomorrow, or I may just wait a week. It kind of depends. Before we go into the meat of the video, which is the actual, LP that I'm going to talk about, I just want to say, like, uploading's kind of weird right now because we've got 3 very long games going since Digimon just started yesterday, and I don't know, because, like, 2 videos a day is about the max I can realistically do, so it's kind of hard to pick which series gets, like, wanted. Like, which one do I want to upload every day and which one do I want to switch between? It's hard to say. It's really weird because they're all so long and I don't know which one I should prioritize with more frequent uploads. It's a very interesting conundrum, but I'm very happy. I feel like the 3 LPs going on currently are some of the best I've done. Granted, I haven't finished any of them, but like Persona 4 it's getting there. I think I've recorded up to like part 50 or something. Like, I think 57 was the last one I recorded. Trails is at about like 30 something, and Digimon actually I didn't record. I recorded a lot of it like a way back ago, but I haven't actually recorded it in a while, so I'm really looking forward to getting back into that next time I have some extended recording time. But those are all other LPs, so let's jump into Pokemon, which was... So Pokemon's always been kind of like a staple of the channel, just something that like I throw in whenever I don't really have anything else to play, or I just kind of want to play some Pokemon because the games kind of speak for themselves. And it was started after XCOM finished. I wanted something to fill the Saturday slot, which kind of, I mean, my upload schedule's been like really thrown out of whack, basically ever since like Cyber Sleuth. We did that, and then since that series was doing so well, I was like, well, I've got to do daily uploads for it. So my original upload schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with taking Tuesday and Thursdays off, kind of got thrown out of whack because that series was doing well enough that I felt like there was a demand that I could upload daily videos of it. And really, then like Trails 2 came in after it, and it was just so long that I had to do daily uploads of it, or else the LP would literally still be going on. But yeah, so I remember I recorded the first episode like the day after I finished recording Trails 2. Like, I think it was it may have even been the same day that I finished recording the finale of Trails 2. I think I recorded the first episode of Double Edition, which was just kind of like something I still had time to record, and I didn't really have anything else to record, because I think at the time Cyber Sleuth was still finishing up. Like, I'd recorded all the videos, but they hadn't all been uploaded. Trails 2, I'd blitzed through and recorded in like 2 weeks, like the entire game basically. And I just kind of wanted something a little bit more casual. And additionally, one of the reasons I picked a Pokemon game is because after doing Cyber Sleuth and Trails back to back, I kind of felt like I needed to work on the aspect of my commentary, which is like the ability to just talk like about nothing aimlessly, which I didn't really do all that much in either of those Let's Plays. Like Trails 2, which is the Trails series in general, most of my commentary is just me reading dialogue and stuff and offering occasional comments, and really the only periods for extended talking are in combat sections, but even then, usually in combat sections, the game is involved enough that I'm talking about like the combat and thinking my thoughts and whatnot. And in Digimon, there's a lot of, I mean, it's got actual voice acting, it's just not in English, so a lot of it's just me letting the characters talk and then offering occasional comments, which is, I think that's what I'm best at. I think I'm best on like observational, I guess riffing's not the right word, but just offering comments when appropriate. I think that's definitely what I'm best at in regard to my commentary style. But I do think having the ability to just talk about nothing, or just talk for extended period of times and be coherent or relatively coherent, is something that I want to be better at and I want to improve on. That's kind of also one of the points of these videos, is just contemporaneously talking without, like, these videos aren't really scripted. Like for the first one I did have some notes, but this one's being kind of recorded very impromptu, so I don't really have notes, and I'm just trying to go off of like a mental checklist of things I wanted to talk about. But so yeah, it was originally to fill the Sunday slot or the Saturday slot, which was like a once a week upload that's longer. It was basically designed to do games that are a bit shorter but do longer videos, so that like it was really suited for games like, say, XCOM was a great Saturday slot, because those videos typically would run up to like 40, 50, even an hour long. And so when I'm only uploading them once a week, I feel better about putting out an hour-long video. The problem with XCOM in particular, which is I'll go and talk about this in Pokemon later, that I don't think I'm good, like my personality of like how I play games, I don't think playing one game over the course of like 20 weeks is good for me. Because what ends up happening is I rarely end up bulk recording the Saturday slot LPs like I do for anything else. Like, so I'm always ended up recording the episodes like the day or two before they come up. So I'm recording like one episode a week of it. And it's hard for me to... I started to lose interest in most of the games that I did in the Saturday slot, including... Well, Pokemon I never really lost interest in, but it dragged on for longer than I really wanted to, considering it was like an impromptu LP that I just kind of started because, well, I'm bored one morning. Don't really have anything else I want to do. I've been wanting to play this ROM hack for a little bit. I figured it would be relatively short, something that would work well after the very long XCOM LP that lasted for like 6 months. The problem, though, is that it went on for still too long, even though it lasted about as long as I wanted. I think it's 19 parts total, including like, well, the 18 parts for the main LP, and then that one little bonus video of us fighting Steven brought it up to 19, which my goal was to finish in under 20 parts, but I missed a couple weeks where I didn't upload videos because I just kind of either didn't have the chance to record a video because I would never really maintain a backlog on the series, or I just forgot, and then there was like 2 weeks where I just suddenly couldn't record anymore. Like recently, that's why like I think the break between part 17 and 18 was like very long, was because there was like a 2-week period where I couldn't record and I didn't have any videos saved up for that series. Which basically all that is to say is that like the Saturday slot as an idea is dead. I think I'm going to not have like a single LP reserved for a once a week slot anymore. I think it was an interesting idea. It's something that maybe I'll revisit in the future, but for now, that idea I think has I've used it enough that I feel like I don't really like it. Because basically every LP I've done in the Saturday slot, I think it started with, I can't remember what the first one I did was. I remember Final Fantasy IV was one, and that's probably the least favorite LP I've ever done. Not necessarily because of the game, more just issues of playing it over such a long period of time, and then there was the additional problem with accidentally picking the hard mode that was added in the PC/mobile port, and the hard mode is just not balanced at all. It's really unfun, and I say this as someone who's a masochist. I'm a hardcore fucking masochist when it comes to games. I love just beating my head against the wall over and over again and dying. I still hated that. It was not fun. I'm trying to think, what were the other games that I did? Ys 1, it worked out well. That was like the quintessential best Saturday slot LP. It was like 2 months long, 8 videos. Every video like was able to be long. I was able to get a lot done in each one. I actually recorded that whole LP pretty much like back to back because it was short enough. That's what I would like if I were to ever revisit the Saturday slot. It would be for something short like that. Something that's like too short to be really a main LP, but not like short enough that I could probably record the whole thing in like a couple sessions, and then just have the whole thing done, and then just slowly release the videos over time, as opposed to the way more recent games have gone, where it drags on for months and months, and I get tired of recording the game, like, maybe after the third session, and I would have just enjoyed it more if I just blitzed through and recorded it, in it just, like, back-to-back. Because I think that's really the way I like to play games in, like, marathon sessions, mainly. I like to beat them quickly. A lot of the times when they drag on, I lose interest, or I'm just not feeling it as much anymore. So that's probably the main important thing that Pokemon has really let me learn. The other thing is that it also kind of moving into the more bigger, like, my slight thumbnail redesign changes. If I remember, I think I still have the old thumbnails for Pokemon put up, and maybe do like a little side-by-side comparison of how just putting a little bit more time into doing them, because especially one of the things like the Saturday slot LPs typically didn't have like unique thumbnails for each one, because a lot of times they're games that aren't very thumbnail friendly, like XCOM. XCOM, actually, it could have worked. I didn't realize that whenever you get kill shots in that game, the game does have like a cinematic camera where it disables the HUD. So like I could have actually made unique thumbnails for each one of those videos, but I ended up just kind of going with the like a default, very boring like title screen number formula. Which is what I did for Pokemon, because Pokemon in general is not very thumbnail friendly unless you put a lot of work into it. And making thumbnails is like my least favorite part of YouTubing. So that would have just made me hate the LP even more if I had to put a ton of work into each individual thumbnail. But I do enjoy the redesign. I think it looks a lot better. It's a lot... It pops a lot more. It's still not like great. I mean, it's still just a static image with text and a number, but that's about as much as you're really gonna get out of me, because I'm a lazy piece of shit when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. There's really too much else to talk about. I mean, I could talk a little bit about the game. That was one thing that was kind of nice about the LP, though, going back to like what I was talking about originally. Is just having extended periods of time to talk and tell stories and stuff. Granted, I don't really have stories. Like I'm not like an anecdote type of guy, because my life is very boring and not that much interesting happens. And even then, just like coming up with stuff to talk about off the top of my head is like not something I'm very good at. But I do feel like I got a little bit, like it's good practice. I do want to do LPs like that every once in a while, where I have to be the main focus as opposed to the game, because for them, I mean, you know, Pokemon, like the story, who gives a shit. Most of the combat encounters, aside from like gym battles in the ROM hack, are very easy, so there's not like a ton of interesting stuff to say about I'm gonna use Scald on the rock type Pokemon because it's super effective. Like it all kind of speaks for itself. But just completely lost my train of thought, dude. Just it's gone. Pokemon, it's good. I enjoyed the ROM hack. It was a little rough around the edges at times. It's not quite to the quality of, say, like a Blaze, basically any Drayano ROM hack, or even stuff like Wilting Y, or what are those ROM hacks by the other dude who does the 3DS ROM hacks? Ah, God, I can't remember his name. He made like what? I just know he did the Sun and Moon ROM hacks that were like kind of popular. That were basically like the tweak ROM hacks, where they increase the difficulty, they add in all the Pokemon and stuff, which really those are like my preferred type of ROM hacks. I don't really like full-on new Pokemon game stuff, or like any of the ones that try and add their own stories, just because typically, I mean, they're probably better than the default stories, because the default stories in Pokemon are just absolute garbage, because they're like, there's just nothing to them. But sometimes they just come across as a little edgy and not that well written. So usually I think I would prefer just like a boring vanilla story over one that's just not very good, personally. So I typically tend to gravitate towards more like vanilla tweaked ROM hacks. And that's probably, like, if we do play another Pokemon game, which we will eventually, because I mean I still like the franchise, even though I've got strong feelings on the way it's progressed throughout the years. If we were to play one again, though, it would definitely be Wilting Y, which is one of my favorite tweak ROM hacks. It's of Pokemon Y. And I think 3D. I've played around the 3DS emulator, and I think it runs well enough that I could do an LP on it. I think there's like some graphical issues still. Granted, it's been like over a year or close to a year since I last messed around with Citra, so maybe that's even will be fixed by the time I get around to playing Pokemon again. Won't be anytime soon because all 3 LPs I'm doing right now are extremely long and will be dominating the channel for the next like 2 to 3 months probably. Don't exact. Well, Trails 3 isn't that long, I don't think. It'll probably still be like 60 parts though. So I mean, that's still very long, but I guess after doing Trails 2 and Cyber Sleuth, my concept of what a long LP is just not the same anymore. Same with Persona 4, where I've recorded up to like part 57, and I'm like maybe 66% of the way through the game. Probably about 2/3 of the way through it. I don't really remember how long some of the later sections of the game are, though. But trying to think, is there anything else you want to talk about? I think I want to keep this one relatively short. There's not as much to discuss like there was with Sekiro. Because like Sekiro is another example of like a game where there's not really a ton of time to just like talk randomly in it, because for the most part I'm focused on the gameplay and actually like doing stuff. So that's one thing that, like, I do want to occasionally do games like this that are just focused more on like I have to do more, as opposed to just letting the game story and the game's own goodness carry me. Like, I feel like that's something that, like, in Trails, I'm kind of just along for the ride. Like, the game itself is the most interesting thing in there. Same with, like, Persona. Like, I try and be entertaining and offer comments and be insightful or whatever. But for the most part, I'm just letting the game carry me and hope that the video is good. But, you know, in Pokemon, I definitely had to put more effort in actually being entertaining moment to moment and coming up with stuff to talk about. And it's good practice. And I'm just repeating myself at this point, so we're going to go ahead and stop here. Probably the next video, one of these videos would be on, I don't know, what's going to finish first? I don't know if I'll do one on Persona 4, because I think I want to do one on Persona 3 and 4 together, because I can't talk about Persona 4 without talking about Persona 3, and I don't know when we'll get around to playing that. I think, though, since I have started that LP, we probably will be seeing more Persona on the channel throughout the coming months / years, probably. But yeah, I don't know when the next one of these will be. Maybe Hacker's Memory, actually. Or no, it'll be Trails 3, because I want to do a really long one of these for all 3 Trails games and the LPs that I did of them. And that's going to be, oh boy, that's going to be a doozy, dude. I got so much to say about that trilogy. Especially, I mean, you know, I'll probably have even more to say when I actually finish playing Trails 3, which I haven't quite finished recording it yet. I'm getting there. We're getting close to the end, but we're not quite there. But yeah, I'm extra, oh god, I fucking can't talk, dude. I'm Extra Cheesy 87. Stay tuned for the next part. And bye, guys.